What if the junk in your yard could become the most beautiful thing you own? What if the secret to a better garden was already sitting in your trash pile? Welcome to ModHaus DIY, where creativity meets real life and forgotten materials find new purpose. In this video, we'll explore powerful DIY trash garden ideas that are practical, affordable, and perfect for small spaces. We've added timestamps, so feel free to jump to what you need. Got questions or your own twist on an idea? Leave a comment, we always read them. And if this inspired you in any way, just know, you're not just watching a video. You're stepping into our story. When you subscribe, you're not just supporting content. You're helping a small dream stay alive. One click, one heart, one home at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in what's possible. There's something quietly beautiful about giving second chances, especially to things long dismissed. In this small patio, tucked between bamboo fences and humble paving stones, discarded car tires find their second life. They're no longer remnants of travel or wear, but sculptural vessels brimming with color and growth. One corner sings with brightness, 3 old tires stacked in perfect harmony, painted in hues of lemon yellow, seafoam teal, and warm terracotta. From their circular frames, blossoms spill out, petunias, marigolds, and trailing vines dance in sunlight. Purple basil stands tall like a crown, surrounded by cascades of white and magenta petals. Beneath it all, gravel crunches softly underfoot, and a wooden chair invites quiet reflection. Elsewhere, the look is softer, more rustic. Tires painted in white and olive cradle homegrown produce kale, thyme, cherry tomatoes. Their surfaces are worn, chipped at the edges, telling quiet stories of their past lives. But now they carry new purpose. A patch of calendula glows golden against the muted rubber, while terracotta pots nearby wait patiently to be filled. A pair of gloves rests close by, still damp from tending. And down the narrow garden path, where sunlight filters through the wooden beams of a pergola, 3 dark motorcycle tires are arranged in a gentle diagonal. In them, herbs thrive, mint with its crisp scent, rosemary with its piney perfume, oregano soft and lush. Their green leaves contrast against the black rubber, a reminder that beauty often comes from contrast, from balance, from reuse. These tiered planters are more than just garden features. They are acts of transformation. Simple, honest, sustainable. Perfect for tiny yards and patios where space is limited but creativity is not. With just a few tires, a splash of paint, and a handful of soil, anyone can create a garden that speaks, not just of plants but of possibility. What once held oil and grease now holds color and fragrance, a beautiful contradiction forged by care. In a quiet corner of a gravel patio, a stack of painted oil drums rises like a totem of rebirth. Each barrel, once part of an industrial past, is now dressed in warm terracotta tones or hand-painted with gentle vines and soft green. Some are left with just enough scuff and weathering to tell their history, while others glow under the morning light with a new purpose, a pedestal for petals. From the top tier, red salvias flare upward like flames. Beneath them, clusters of purple verbena spill outward, their wild beauty untamed and generous. At the base, white alyssum gathers in a quiet circle, soft, round, and fragrant, like clouds at the foot of a summer hill. Between each layer, steel braces hold everything steady, a testament to structure behind the charm. Elsewhere, a drum painted in sky blue and white stands alone. Its front is cut open like a window, revealing a secret garden within. Salmon geraniums nestle beside cascading lobelia, their stems tumbling playfully over the edge. At the bottom, golden marigolds beam like tiny suns. The placement feels intentional, yet effortless, like something born of instinct and love, not blueprint. These drums are not hidden or disguised, they are celebrated. Their curves and rivets, their once utilitarian form, all now embraced and reimagined. The floral abundance softens the steel, while the structure lifts the blooms to eye level, turning simple backyard ground into a vertical gallery of scent and color. This is DIY at its most poetic, practical yet expressive, strong yet soft. A reminder that beauty can come from anything, and that sometimes, what we discard has just been waiting for the right hands to give it new life. Some stories don't begin with soil, they begin with scrap. Out behind an old shed, a trio of battered oil drums waited. Once vessels for grease, fuel, or forgotten freight, they now stood tall in a gravel-lined patio, reborn with patience and brushstroke. Stacked with intention, each barrel wore new colors: sky blue, creamy white, and gentle swirls of vines painted by hand. The lids flung open like cheerful mouths, inviting blooms to spill forward, geraniums, lobelia, and bright marigolds tumbling out like secrets too joyful to keep. There's a quiet logic to this garden tower. Not one of perfection but of play. The kind of structure where gravity yields to joy and each flower leans out just a little more each day. It's not store-bought symmetry, it's story-stacked resilience. In another corner, a different voice rises, one made of rust, sun, and the whir of memory. An old drum, yellowed and chipped, stands solo on a patch of mismatched stones. Its top brims with zinnias and snapdragons, riotous in color, unbothered by the past. Around it, terracotta pots and bamboo screens gather like old friends, whispering in the late summer breeze. This isn't junk, it's character. It's history turned hopeful. A few steps away, rust-orange barrels are braced with metal bands and painted with hand-stenciled farmhouse motifs. Simple homes and gable roofs etched like chalk lines on clay. They hold 3 tiers of life: salvia like fire at the top, verbena like twilight in the middle, and alyssum like starlight at the base. Dry leaves skitter across the pavement, and overhead, bulbs sway on a loose string of lights. The kind you'd find at a backyard party you never want to leave. This isn't just recycling. It's art in motion. And then there's the laughter in the wind, soft, low, and swinging. Old motorcycle tires, hung like loops of memory under a pergola, have become blooming rings of color. Ropes creak gently as the wind nudges them side to side, as if each planter were humming a lullaby to its leaves. Painted in matte white, orange clay, sage green, and blush pink, they hold ivy, petunias, lobelia, and even lavender sprigs that nod like wise heads in the sun. In one nook, rusted hooks suspend a pair of tires that cradle trailing nasturtiums and lavender, a wild mix of scent and shadow. Nearby, garden tools hang like heirlooms along a wooden fence, and sunlight folds over them like a warm blanket. You can almost hear the past echoing. You don't need much. Just an old wheel, a handful of soil, and the will to grow. On another pergola beam, pink and blue tire halves cradle begonias and mint. Beneath them, a recycled bench of worn pallet wood sits grounded, surrounded by crushed gravel and climbing jasmine. The flowers bloom not from designer beds, but from places that once rolled through rain, dust, and distance. This isn't Pinterest perfect. It's better. It's personal. It's a garden of second chances. of cast-offs turned cradles, of blooms that couldn't care less where they're planted as long as they feel the sun. So if someone ever asks, "Where did you buy all this?" you can smile and say, "None of it was bought. It came from what the world threw out, and what I still believed could grow." Some garden moments aren't planted. They're hung, strung gently above the scent of rosemary and the hush of twilight. They begin with a leftover oil jug, rinsed, repainted, and asked to glow again. What was once clutter in a corner of the kitchen becomes light on a summer evening. Here, trash doesn't end in the bin. It finds its second act in a garden that listens closely to the rhythm of reuse. There's a poetry to this fence. Not of symmetry or grandeur, but of kindness. The kind that looks at a used container and sees a lantern waiting to happen. In the first corner, soft pastel jugs hang from a twine, blushing gently in sage and ivory. Their solar hearts flicker on as the sun folds itself into night, illuminating rosemary sprigs and thyme that seem to bow in gratitude beneath them. It's quiet here, a place where even the smallest light is welcome. In another nook, a row of white jugs, each carefully pierced with floral lacework, line up like a chorus of whispering stars. They speak of steady hands and Saturday afternoons, of someone taking time not just to decorate but to care. Clay pots bloom below in shades of violet and magenta, anchoring the light in the richness of life. A wooden chair rests beside it all, folded but not forgotten, waiting for the next tea and moment of stillness. And further down, where the gravel path curves beside a rustic bench, stand oil jugs transformed once more. Their amber glow hovers low, just above the ferns, like fireflies caught in a dream. Each jug is clipped onto iron hooks, sturdy, simple, sincere, casting pools of light that ripple across the bamboo wall behind. It's the kind of place you'd wander into barefoot, unsure whether to sit, breathe, or simply stay. This isn't just a DIY project. It's a belief that even the humblest item, faded plastic left over from the pantry, can rise into beauty with a bit of warmth and imagination. You don't need a budget or blueprint. You need a reason, a pair of willing hands, and maybe a few evenings under the sky. And when guests ask, "Where did you buy those lovely lanterns?" you can smile and say, "They used to hold oil. Now they hold light." Some gardens are born from catalogs, others from curiosity, from hands that don't mind a little dirt, and eyes that can still see charm in an old tire. These garden edges weren't bought. They were rolled, lifted, flipped, and painted. They used to speed along asphalt highways. Now they hold still so sunflowers can rise. Beneath the pink cosmos and cheerful daisies, the circular bed breathes like a steady heartbeat. Tires painted in warm tones, terracotta, olive, sandstone, wrap around like an embrace. Each one stacked in symmetry, whispering, "I once ran fast, now I root deep." There's a sense of intention here, though nothing feels rigid. In one corner, motorcycle tires lie half-buried like ancient archways in a ruined abbey. Painted soft white, they hug the soil gently, holding back bursts of lavender and purple coneflowers. The bees don't care where the flowers grow, only that they do. And here they thrive. The third garden sings in circles. Scooter tires, upright and snug, hold back neat rings of tulips and kale. Red, white, violet, colors bloom outward from the center like ripples in a still pond. Around them, petals fall and stay. No one sweeps. No one scolds. This garden knows mess can be beautiful too. What ties these corners together isn't just rubber or soil. It's belief that trash can transform, that structure can be gentle, that color heals. There's no script here, just rhythm. No price tag, just presence. You don't need to own a greenhouse. You don't need a designer. You just need a tire or two, paint if you'd like, and the will to try. Nature does the rest. This isn't just DIY. It's quiet resilience, colorful defiance. It's finding stillness in something that used to spin fast. And when someone stops to ask where you got those gorgeous garden walls, you can smile and say, they came from where the road ends and new routes begin. Some gardens echo the sounds of birds and wind. Others, like this one, hum quietly with the drip of water on stone, a rhythm slower than thought, older than words. At the heart of this corner lies not a grand koi pond nor a sculpted fountain, but a modest vessel. An old drum, once used for oil or transport, now holding calm like a cupped hand. The transformation begins with something humble. A discarded barrel, weathered and worn, is sliced in half and softened with a coat of stone gray paint. Around its rim, bamboo slats are carefully tied, a respectful nod to the traditions of Japanese water gardens, where form follows stillness. Set into a bed of river pebbles, the drum now receives the steady gift of water from a curved bamboo spout, its flow whispering rather than pouring. Above, a dwarf maple leans in as if listening. To one side, lily pads float with grace, welcoming dragonflies and two bright koi who glide with effortless ceremony. Nearby, a bamboo ladle rests on a warm stone, not for use but for presence. The ground around is soft with moss and framed by ornamental grasses that sway even without wind. The light here is filtered and dappled as though nature herself is taking a breath. The magic isn't in the materials but in the attention. This wasn't built quickly. It was composed, one detail at a time, one intention folded into the next. The oil drum no longer serves its industrial past. It holds something gentler now, reflection, stillness, life. It teaches us that beauty doesn't come from what something was, but from what it's allowed to become. And you don't need much. A single drum, a bamboo pole, a quiet hour in the afternoon when the sun tilts low. You don't need instructions, just a willingness to look at what you already have and imagine it softened by water and time. So if someone asks where your water garden came from, you can smile and say, it was once forgotten metal, now it holds the sound of peace. Not all beauty comes polished. Some arrives quietly, weathered, reused, and resting in the corners of a humble garden. That's where this story begins. With oil drums, long retired from their industrial days, now cradling planks of wood and memories in the making. The first bench sits steady under a rustic fence, black drums anchoring the weight of reclaimed oak. The wood is honest, grain and cracks visible, preserved with a soft matte seal that lets time breathe through. A folded wool blanket, left as if someone just stepped away with a warm cup in hand, adds the tender feel of a place lived in. Around it, pots bloom with pansies, vibrant purples and sunny yellows, quiet companions on either side. The bench doesn't ask to be admired. It just offers rest. And somehow that's even more beautiful. A few steps away, beneath the dappled shade of a vine-wrapped pergola, a second bench leans into the morning sun. Its white-painted drums are chipped at the edges, not from neglect, but from use, from stories. The pine seat is pale, raw, and unvarnished, like it's still deciding who it belongs to. A straw hat rests beside a watering can, hinting at a gardener's pause. Marigolds bloom close by, glowing with that golden patience only nature knows. It's a place of quiet arrivals. A spot where effort softens and sweat becomes worth it. In the gravel garden corner, the third bench offers calm like a whispered lullaby. Blue drums, cut neatly, hold up a deep wood slab, its tones rich like dark honey. Someone took the time to stencil white flowers across the curved metal, delicate outlines blooming across steel once meant to store fuel. Now it supports teacups, stories, and the occasional sigh of contentment. The ground is softened by time and dusty miller, and just beside it, a wrought iron lantern leans like an old friend keeping watch. These aren't just seats. They are proof that waste can be reborn, that function can carry grace, and that our backyards, no matter how small, can hold worlds made by hand. You don't need fancy tools. Just the willingness to see beauty where others see junk. Scrub an old drum. Cut it. Balance it with wood. Let it breathe outside where sunlight and rain will slowly write their marks. What begins as trash becomes treasure when given purpose. In these benches we don't just sit, we remember that something thrown away can become the centerpiece of a garden. That comfort doesn't require perfection. And when someone asks where your bench came from, just smile and say, it was once just a barrel. Now it holds time. Not all beginnings start from seed. Some start from salvage. And in this quiet garden corner, where the sun casts soft shadows over a bed of gravel, a circle of worn-out tires now tells a story of rebirth. Each one, once bound to noisy roads and long-forgotten errands, has been gently cleaned, painted, and turned upward, becoming something gentler, something greener. From above, the spiral emerges clearly. Sage green, stormy gray, terracotta red, not colors you'd expect from old tires, but hues that now ground the space in earthy warmth. Arranged in an upward swirl, the tires cradle soil, herbs, and purpose. Basil leans toward the light. Thyme trails gently along the rim. Rosemary stands tall and sure, while parsley curls and dances in the breeze. Each plant seems to hum a different note, yet together they form a quiet melody of care. Closer still, another patch reveals a different rhythm. A cluster of white motorcycle tires, their edges stacked like a slow-motion twist. Mint, coriander, and chives overflow, brushing the air with their fragrance. Someone's hands had carefully painted each tire, each name: purple basil, coriander, dorpier. No font or fancy signage, just a black marker and intention. Behind it, a bamboo screen sways like applause for this little act of creative defiance. You can almost hear it. Yes, this is beauty too. Then there's the softer corner. Scooter tires tucked near a fence, filled with tarragon and dill. Wooden signs stand like storytellers, whispering the names aloud to anyone who kneels close. Mulch pads the ground, and smooth stone paths invite you to pause. A crate of tools rests nearby, not posed but waiting, like they've been used just moments ago and will be picked up again as the sun shifts. What makes this spiral herb garden special isn't the cost. It's not about space or expertise. It's about seeing potential where others see disposal. About turning waste into rhythm. About letting your small backyard whisper back to you, there is time. There is healing. There is still beauty left in what the world throws away. So when someone asks how you designed such a clever little garden, you can smile and say, I didn't design it. I listened to what the tires wanted to become. There's something quietly beautiful about giving shape to what was once discarded. Along this narrow path, what was once rubber rolling across roads in some forgotten town, now stands still, firmly rooted in soil, offering rhythm and texture instead of speed. The morning light drapes across the row of black tires, like curved tiles gently leaning into the earth. Their arcs repeat like a garden heartbeat, each one punctuated by patches of creeping thyme and rosettes of soft green succulents. Between their dark forms and the golden gravel, a new border is born, both deliberate and alive. And just beyond the curve, rattan chairs whisper of morning tea and the softness of stillness. This isn't a wall to keep things out, but a cradle holding life in. Further in, a cozy corner comes into view, where scooter tires have been sliced and painted in warm taupe hues, like chocolate milk against a bamboo backdrop. They rise in playful scallops, edging the flower bed like a child's drawing of castle walls. Red geraniums peek over their shoulders, proud and bold, while the pallet bench behind them, clad in a rainbow of soft cushions, invites laughter, stories, and barefoot afternoons. Ivy climbs lazily along the pale bamboo, echoing the slow persistence of nature's embrace. You wouldn't guess these walls were made from scrap, because in this space they feel like sculpture. And then in the final scene, a top-down view reveals the elegance of balance. The matte black arcs of old tires form a quiet square around a flagstone patio, each segment spaced just enough to let air and green things breathe. Ornamental grasses bow gently in the breeze, while nasturtiums burst in tangled trails of gold and orange, wild, playful, and full of charm. A clay pot leans in one corner, a watering can rusting nearby, proof that even imperfection has its place in the poetry of a garden. These garden walls are not about grandeur, they are about intention. About seeing possibility in the things others throw away. You don't need to buy more. You only need to look around and imagine what else a tire, a crate, or a broken bench could become. So let your patio be a testament to quiet transformation. Let the curve of a rubber arch remind you that beauty is often just a repurposed step away. Not all fences are built to keep things out. Some are made to invite joy in. And here, on this humble stretch of wood and bamboo, plastic jugs once destined for landfills have found a second life, one filled with whimsy, color, and flowers. Each cut, each brushstroke, each planted root tells a story, that of hands who chose to reuse, to reshape, and to reimagine what waste could become. From afar, the fence sings in pastels. Mint green owls, coral pink birds, sky blue frogs, each jug transformed into a playful silhouette. They perch not in a zoo but in a garden, their hollow bellies catching sunlight and curiosity alike. The vines below climb eagerly upward, threading through the fence slats as if reaching toward the colorful creatures above. And beneath it all, a patch of snapdragons opens like laughter at a party of strange new friends. Look closer and you'll find a wall of flowers, each bloom held gently by what was once a plastic oil jug. Turned upside down, painted clean white, their surfaces now carry floral motifs in cheerful hand-drawn strokes. Zinnias burst in yellow and pink, daisies peek playfully, and marigolds nod in agreement. There is nothing pristine here, but there is joy. A fence transformed into gallery, the jugs into vases, the waste into wonder. Beneath the bamboo, the garden smiles again, this time with faces. Plastic jugs turned upside down become characters. Eyes wide, lips painted red, beards trailing in vines. From their heads sprout petunias, like thoughts blooming freely. They don't speak, but they don't need to. Their gaze is enough. Children passing by smile. Adults pause. Someone picks up a rake, not because they must, but because the garden feels like it's waiting. This isn't just a DIY trick. It's a reminder. A reminder that beauty isn't always born from perfection. That sometimes the loudest color comes from the quietest corner. That art can bloom from absence, and fences can do more than divide. They can decorate, uplift, and inspire. So when someone asks you where you found these fence decorations, you can smile and say, they were never bought. They were rescued. And now they bloom. Not all beauty arrives in pots or polished containers. Sometimes, it sways gently from a rope, humming softly as the breeze passes through. In this little corner of a backyard, framed by fence lines and shaded trees, old tires have taken flight, transformed into hanging gardens that feel both timeless and free. The first swing planter hangs like a cradle of color. Black tire, softened with thick jute rope and ringed with garlands of faux white flowers, now plays host to an overflowing chorus of mint, nasturtiums, and yellow daisies. Their leaves lean out like open hands, bright blossoms peeking between green fingers. The tire doesn't spin, it sways. It breathes with the morning breeze. Behind it, a faded bamboo screen offers quiet privacy. At its feet, tiny guardians, a ceramic frog, a lounging bird, a stone baby Buddha, offer silent praise. They seem to say, look what can bloom from something thrown away. Across the yard, a white painted tire hangs in the shelter of an old oak tree, glowing in the honeyed light of late afternoon. Inside its curved belly, geraniums and scarlet bloom like fireworks held still. Below them, trailing sweet potato vines drape down like velvet curtains, their green catching fire as the sun sinks. Around the base, a neat circle of stones holds a bed of mulch and memory, each fallen leaf, a reminder of season's rhythm. A pathway of stepping stones winds off into the distance, drawing the eye toward a wooden pergola wrapped in ivy. It's not a grand space, but it feels sacred, like a quiet promise made between the earth and the hands that shaped it. And near the maple, sturdy and full, a darker tire swings low, tied with thick knotted rope, its rubber worn but strong. From its center, soft purple petunias and ivy spill like laughter. They reach toward sunlight, spill toward the grass, while the bench nearby waits patiently. There are tools leaning quietly in the background, not posed, just left behind by someone who stepped away for tea. Maybe they'll come back with muddy gloves. Maybe they'll sit and watch the flowers sway. Each of these tire planters is a quiet rebellion against waste. They don't shout their story, they murmur it in vines and petals. They remind us that beauty doesn't need to be bought. It needs only care, a drill, some soil, a splash of color, and imagination that dares to swing old rubber into poetry. So if anyone asks where you got the idea, just smile and point to the sky through the open ring of a blooming tire. Let them see the sunlight passing through, a full circle of second chances. From salvaged oil tins to evening garden enchantment. Some gardens whisper by day, but sing their lullabies at dusk. And in this quiet outdoor nook, old oil cans, once clanging reminders of garages and grease, now cradle small flames and cast warm light on the pebbled earth. Their dented bodies have been sanded, softened with vintage hues of mossy green, chalk blue, and sun-washed copper. No longer tools of utility, they've become gentle companions of twilight. Each can sit neatly at the gazebo's edge, standing proudly like little soldiers of the evening. Inside, flickering LED candles echo the pulse of a slow, contented breath. The jasmine vines that twirl up the wooden posts bloom as if in applause, their perfume drifting lightly on the breeze. Fireflies hover in the distance, like tiny lanterns answering the call. Look closer and you'll notice the delicate handiwork. Some of these cans are pierced with star-like patterns, small leaves and constellations punched lovingly into their sides. Light spills from these tiny cutouts, dancing across lavender and feathered grass. Someone took the time to make beauty from what once sat discarded by a fence. Someone said, "This is still worth something." And in another corner, taller cans have been mounted onto reclaimed wood stumps, creating a quiet parade of garden guardians. Their matte finish is worn just enough to show they've had a life before. Some carry faded floral stencils, simple white blossoms like memory pressed into metal. Inside, small solar lights wait patiently for the sun to slip away before they begin their slow evening glow. It's not about perfection. It's not about cost. It's about the quiet joy of transforming waste into warmth, of seeing charm in rust and poetry in patina. This is the kind of beauty that doesn't shout. It hums. So if anyone asks what you did with those old cans, you can smile and say, "I gave them a second life, and they lit the way home." In the quietest corner of a garden, where wind rustles softly through bamboo leaves and time seems to slow, a small miracle of reuse and renewal unfolds, a pond born from forgotten things. An old tire, thick with stories of the road, now rests in the earth not as waste, but as a cradle of life. Lined with a simple sheet of waterproof plastic, this repurposed tire forms a miniature oasis, its surface rippling gently with sky reflections and the curious steps of frogs. Tiny duckweed drifts like green constellations. Water hyacinths bloom delicately, their lavender petals fluttering above the mirrored surface. A stone, worn smooth by years, becomes a throne for a visiting frog, silent, watchful, and perfectly still. What makes this pond sing is the harmony between function and form. Around its circular edge, plastic jugs, once containers of oil, now vessels of hope, are cut and shaped into planters. Some hold papyrus reeds that sway like dancing fingers. Others pour water slowly back into the pond, offering sound and movement. One jug, sliced just right, forms a slope, a passageway where frogs can climb in and out with ease, reminding us that good design listens to life. The stones that frame the second pond give weight and grounding. Some are jagged, some soft with moss. Between them, ferns unfurl and dragonflies dart, tracing arcs in the sunlit air. It is not just a place of water, it is a habitat, a refuge, a moment of balance between trash and treasure. And though this design was born from discarded pieces, an old tire, a few bricks, jugs tossed aside, its presence brings elegance to even the smallest backyard. It tells a quiet story to every guest who walks past, that beauty is not always bought, that peace can be handmade, and that the wild will return if you make it welcome. This is not merely a DIY idea. It's an invitation to reuse with imagination, to build with kindness, and to let nature find you, even if your garden is only a few square feet wide. Sometimes the smallest spaces offer the richest potential. A plain wall, a few containers once destined for landfill, a little sunlight. From these modest ingredients, something beautiful rises, a vertical garden that hums with life, crafted from plastic jerrycans no longer serving their original use. On one wall, they appear like pastel pockets of promise: mint, coral, lemon, lavender. Their shapes are familiar but their roles transformed. Sliced open with care, mounted on wooden brackets, these former jugs now cradle soil and root, herb and bloom. Strawberries hang red and ripe beneath leafy canopies, while purple pansies smile back at the morning light. Below, a small metal stool and a bucket of garden tools hint that this is a space still growing, still becoming. In another corner, sunlight catches on sage green plastic. Lettuce glows translucent, and chives stand tall beside cascading thyme. The containers are cut on a diagonal and lean gently into bamboo trellises, like shelves that lean in with intention. There's a quiet elegance in the way the light falls, how the texture of the leaves meets the softened plastic, how reuse and purpose blend with nature's patience. And then, in a quieter nook, a row of containers, some upright, some sideways, gather dew from the morning rain. Succulents huddle in one, mint reaches upward in another. Their colors are simple, faded blue and white, weathered just enough to tell the truth. These are not store-bought planters. They are artifacts of everyday life, made useful again, beautiful in their honesty. This is the kind of idea that feels personal. A vertical garden made not for show but for joy. For the scent of herbs in the breeze. For the satisfaction of watching strawberries ripen just inches from your door. It's a reminder that you don't need vast land or expensive tools, just the will to see potential in what others throw away. And so, with every jug you repurpose, every seed you tuck into soil, your tiny wall becomes more than just a wall. It becomes Some gates don't just separate spaces, they invite you into a story. Here, the frame is not carved from marble or forged in steel, but from something far more honest. Old oil drums, once forgotten, now reborn as the guardians of a garden. Split down the middle and curved like open arms, these industrial remnants are anchored between sturdy wooden posts, their surfaces matte with age or rust, depending on their journey. Between them stands a gate, part wood, part iron, shaped by hand and history. In one version, the slats of reclaimed pallet wood are laced with iron rods, sturdy yet soft in the afternoon light. A clematis vine climbs gently up one side, its violet blooms casting shadows across the black-painted drum, while a weathered watering can leans with ease as if it too is part of the welcome. In another garden, the scene is more sunlit and symmetrical. Two upright drums, oxidized into rich sienna, flank a gate made from vertical wood planks cut unevenly at the top, like a picket fence that once dreamed of the Wild West. Hydrangeas and roses bloom generously on either side, and underfoot, the gravel crunches lightly with each step. There is strength here but also softness. And then, somewhere more whimsical, the same drums form a base for something gently magical. A rusted arch of iron rises above the gate, and from it dangle glass bottles filled with dried flowers. Baby's breath, lavender, strawflower. They shimmer as they catch the light, like wind chimes without sound. Beneath them, a path of stone and time leads you inward, towards something fragrant and alive. This is what trash can become when seen through the eyes of purpose. Oil drums and scrap iron, when paired with wood and imagination, form a passage not just into a garden, but into a new way of thinking. You don't need money to make something beautiful. Just care. Just creativity. Just the willingness to see doors where others see barriers. And with every person who walks through, this gate proves again. Even things once thrown away can become the threshold to something extraordinary.